Quiet, por favor. Is anybody here other than for water? All right, good. Because I don't have any time for anything else. All right, water. Let me grab my book. Okay, so first thing about water we need to know is its structure. So what elements make up water?
H2O.
Well, elements are
Hydrogen and oxygen.
hydrogen, right? H, oxygen, O, and it is H2O, which means that there are how many hydrogens?
2.
2 hydrogens, and how many oxygens?
1.
1. All right, and water is considered, I don't know if I'm going in the same, water. All right, so the structure of water is, we have oxygen, which has how many valence electrons?
2.
How many valence electrons?
7.
6.
6.
Right, it has 6 valence electrons. Hydrogen has how many?
1.
Hydrogen has, here, let me make it a different color. Hydrogen has 1 valence electron. Okay, so if we're looking at the bonding within water, okay, so this is within the water molecule, okay, these two guys are going to do what with their 2 electrons? They're going to share them, okay. So within a water molecule, they share electrons, so that is called covalent. Okay, so there are covalent bonds between the hydrogen and the oxygen within a water molecule. Okay, but they are special covalent bonds. Okay, normally we would say that these guys are shared equally, and in most covalent parts they are. Okay, but in water, they are not shared equally. Okay, not shared equally, the electrons. And why is that? Why are they not shared equally? What's highly electronegative?
The oxygen.
Oxygen. So because oxygen is highly electronegative, which means what?
It has a lot of pull.
It pulls the electrons closer to it, right? So it can pull the electrons closer. So because it has a high electronegativity, which means it has a high ability to pull electrons closer to it, instead of this hydrogen being, or these two kind of being in the middle, what ends up happening is the electrons are closer to oxygen than they are to hydrogen. Okay, even though they're still being shared, they're closer to the oxygen than to the hydrogen. So this is called what? Polarity. Okay, so the result of it being highly electronegative is that water is a polar molecule. Okay, so polar means that it has an unequal sharing of charge, or however you want to put that in your own words. Okay, so polarity is the result of oxygen being highly electronegative. Okay, so that makes oxygen have what charge? If it's pulling the electrons closer to it, what charge does it have? It has a slightly negative. And remember, slightly is that funky G. Okay, so funky G means slightly. So oxygen is slightly negative, and what about the 2 hydrogens? Slightly positive. Okay, so this slightly negative and slightly positive is what polarity is. Okay. So if you are talking about the structure of water within a water molecule, it has a polar covalent bond. Okay, that means that water is charged. Most molecules are not charged. They share their electrons equally, and they have no charge, no overall charge, right? But water does have a charge. So its oxygen side is slightly negative, and its hydrogen sides are slightly positive. Are we good with that? Any questions about that? All right, so because of this, water has certain properties that make it really special and happen to benefit us a lot. So there are properties that exist because of water being polar. The two easiest ones are what?
Adhesion and cohesion.
Adhesion and cohesion. Adhesion. Cohesion. Ones that are not so easy. Surface tension is a result of one of these two that we'll talk about. That's an example of a result of that. That's not the property itself. AP kids, you should be spouting off some other ones. What else?
High heat vaporization.
Honors kids, you don't need to know that, but they're here too for this, so
Oh.
you
Well,
guys
how many
are
are
good
there?
with adhesion and
3?
cohesion, and you guys had one more.
Ice floats.
There's also the one about freezing. Like, it's not high heat, but it's something of freezing.
The density is the one we need to know.
All right, so adhesion is what?
It's when, yeah.
Okay, sticks. I hate this word. You do not use sticks. You use what? Attraction. Okay, there is an attraction, not a sticking. Okay, it's not glue. So adhesion is when what is attracted to what?
Water is attracted to other things like glass.
Water is attracted to what is cohesion?
When it's attracted to itself.
Okay, so cohesion is when water is attracted to itself. So when one water molecule is attracted to another water molecule. The other one that you guys should know is about it being a solvent. The universal solvent. AP Bio. But anyway, so cohesion. This is when you get that, when I ask you to draw and show me things. When it is attracted to another, what type of bond is formed? Okay, this is when we have hydrogen bonds.
Wait, cohesion?
Yeah. Okay, so in cohesion, if I were to draw a water molecule, I have oxygen and my two hydrogens, right? These guys are slightly positive, this is slightly negative. If another water molecule comes, the oxygen of another water molecule is going to be attracted, and so on. So water, and in your book it has a really good picture of water being attracted to itself, I think, on page, or does it not have a very good picture? On page 50. If you look on page 50, I know it says ice, but all of those little dots are, like the dots on that picture are all hydrogen bonds, right? So the attraction is here, yeah, between a negative and a positive, and it's here between a negative and a positive. So these are the hydrogen bonds. Is there actually any connection between these guys? Are they sharing anything? No, it is just an attraction, okay? Like magnets, okay? An attraction, that's it. It's not an actual connection, okay? So hydrogen bonds, are they very strong when compared to covalent bonds? No, yeah, like 1/20th the amount if you look up the number. So these guys are not as strong as covalent. But they're significant. Why?
Because
Why are they significant? If they're so weak, why do they matter? Why do we care?
when there's a lot of them.
There is almost strength in numbers. Okay, they're significant because there are so many of them, and they form and break very quickly, right? So as soon as one is broken, another one forms. And so it takes a significant amount of energy to break every single hydrogen bond that exists in order to change state. Okay? Okay. So what is something that results because of cohesion? So surface tension happens because of cohesion. Okay, an example of this is the water strider, right? So this is the guy that can walk on water. And that is because water is more attracted to itself than it is attracted to the feet of the little spider. Okay, so water would rather stay by it together than to be with them. What else is an example of cohesion?
Wow.
The droplets, okay, the shape of water in a droplet. So remember, Honors Bio Kids, we did this with dropping water on a penny, right? It made that big bubble because it was attracted to itself. So you could put a whole bunch of droplets of water before it would actually bubble over, okay? You get that nice bubble effect, okay? Adhesion, what are some examples of adhesion?
Plants. Capillary.
Yeah, that is both. Okay, so water up the roots is both. And we'll talk about that in a sec. Somebody said capillary. So capillary is an example of this. And there's lots of ones of this in your book. Honors Bio Kids, when we did the plant chromatography and that acetone went up the paper, that is an example of capillary. Okay, so this is because it is attracted, in that case, to the paper. Some of you kids, I don't know if I showed it to all of you guys, but I think I showed you or was it AP, I forget, the blood going, when they pricked the kid and they took the blood and it went up that little capillary tube. You can look it up. Yes, it was the African kid, and we got into a big debate about whether it was really in Africa. But anyway, so capillary is something like that. So either it's like when water seeps up against gravity through the paper of chromatography, or if we're looking at and if you donated blood, this happens too, but they have a little capillary tube, and when they put your little drop of blood into the tube, the blood goes all the way up the tube, and that's because it's attracted to the glass or the plastic of the tube. So that's an example of capillary. So together, an example of this is water going up the roots, and that's because if we were to look at the middle of a tree, it's got this middle area, the xylem. And so water is attracted to itself, and realize that eventually this plant has leaves, and we know that water is leaving the leaf, right, through the
pores.
stomata, right, the little openings underneath the leaves. So that kind of creates this pool of water up. But the reason that happens is because water molecules are attracted to it themselves. So when one leaves, the next one comes up, right? The thing that allows them to travel is that they're also attracted to the side of the tree. Okay, so them being attracted to the inside of that little tube and also being attracted to each other is what allows them to make their way up and into the leaves. Okay?
Transpiration.
Transpiration is when it leaves, yeah. From the leaf, yeah. All right, for my Honors Bio Kids, density, we know that ice floats wide. It's less dense. Why is it less dense? So it's less dense in the solid form. Why? The structure changes. What changes about the structure? There's more space in between. Okay, as it becomes solid, there's more space between the molecules, and so that makes it expand in size. And when it expands in size, that allows it to float. Why is this significant? Yeah.
It's the opposite of most other liquids.
It is the opposite of most other liquids, but what does it allow for?
Polar caps.
Just kidding, never mind.
It
Just throwing that out there.
Underneath.
It allows for life to exist underneath. Okay, because if things, and what else does this do besides just allowing things to go underneath? What does it allow to happen? The water underneath is what? It's warmer. Okay, it insulates. So it insulates and keeps the water underneath it warmer, and that the fact that we have warmer water underneath and that it doesn't go bottom up allows life to exist. Okay. So this helps organisms live. So it freezes from top. Okay. And I think that's about it for my Honors Bio kids. Any questions for my Honors Bio kids?
Is that it for what?
That's pretty much it. You need to know about its structure and all that nice stuff.
Sweet.
All right, so if you guys want to quietly leave so that my AP kids can still hear me. AP kids, high specific heat is what? High specific heat. What does that mean?
Oh, it makes that,